Good morning from Glasgow, from COP26 and from the Resilience Hub. And good morning wherever you are, good afternoon, good evening. It's fantastic you're with us today. The Resilience Hub has already started 11:30 p.m. yesterday evening. We had the Pacific Youth Talanoa happening in the Pacific. So fantastic you're here today. My name is David Howlett. I work with the Global Resilience Partnership, help put the hub together, and also with the Climate Champions. I wanted to tell you where the idea came from. It was almost 2 years to the day we're walking around COP25. Resilience adaptation was everywhere, but nowhere, because it was starting to come. So we thought, let's have a hub. It built on the idea from Yusef Naf, from the Director of Adaptation from UNFCCC. He had the Resilience Lab. It's over in I think in Hall 4 or 3, I'm not sure. But so it's bringing everybody together to share what they're doing and to take more action. And also, since then, it's now become the home of Race to Resilience, the campaign led by the high-level champions to deliver more action. So that's why we have a hub, to bring us all together, either physically in this room or virtually wherever you are on this planet. So it's the home of Race to Resilience, and we want this to be the real start of it. We'll have a formal opening of the hub later today by the champions, and also with the launch of the art exhibition from CCRI. I just really want to sort of just thank you for being here, but also particularly to thank to the 40 plus organizations. There's a list of everybody's names on the board here and also on the website. Without them, we would not be here today. So big thanks to them. Thanks to all our sponsors. Again, they're all listed. They're listed on our website. I'm not name check everybody. That will happen later. But massive thanks to them. Also massive thanks to the UK Foreign and Common Development Office and UNFCCC for their unstinting support for the hub. And last but not least, we have a physical hub here, but we also have a physical hub down in the centre of Glasgow at the Calderon University. And really thanks to them, already I think there's an overflow room down there. If you're in Glasgow, stuck in the queue, and you're listening to me, and you're not going to get in, there's space and warmth and comfort down in the university. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Professor Tashin Jeffrey. She's the director of the Centre for Climate Justice at the Calderon University. She's speaking on behalf of her Vice Chancellor, Pamela Gillies. So over to you, Tashin.
So thank you, David, for that very warm welcome. And it's an honour and a delight, and it's wonderful to be here at the beginning of this critical summit, COP26, and as a partner of the Resilience Hub, to provide a few words of welcome on behalf of our Principal and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Pamela Gillies at Glasgow Caledonian University. GCU as a university is driving change in the areas of COP26, helping communities adapt and become more resilient to climate change, creating nature-based solutions, implementing a just energy transition, and providing clean road transport and climate finance. We're proud to be partners and part of the COP26 Universities network to promote a zero carbon and resilient future. As the University for the Common Good, we're on the front line of tackling climate change through our cutting-edge research, and we were one of the first universities in the world to adopt the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as a framework for our research strategy. And these goals also underpin our learning and our teaching right across the university's curricula, encouraging our students to become socially accountable global citizens. So indeed, the motto of the SDGs of Leave No One Behind, particularly focusing on helping the poorest communities build resilience to and reduce the vulnerability to climate-related disasters, is very poignant. Thus, as a partner of the Resilience Hub, the university shares in its commitment of putting people and nature first as we address climate change. Since 1980, the world has seen an 80% increase in climate-related disasters, and there's no doubt that these disasters are disproportionately impacting the poorest. The significant loss and damage to shelter, livestock, food, basic provisions, including access to water, has left people distraught and broken. Helping people cope with and adapt to a changing climate is more pressing now than it has ever been before. Through the work at our Centre for Climate Justice and our role as the Resilience Hub's cross-cutting climate justice champions, we are supporting the work of the Hub to go through looking beyond repairing damaged infrastructure to repairing people, building their resilience to and adapting to a changing climate. Our aim is to support in the delivery of pragmatic and lasting solutions which improve the well-being of society, enhance people's rights and promote a climate-just world. Over the next fortnight, there will be a number of difficult and challenging conversations being had which we hope will result in ambitious and deliver commitments being made that will lead to radical change that is required across multiple scales to tackle climate change and achieve a more resilient and climate-just world. So with that, we sincerely look forward to welcoming you to our campus in Glasgow for fruitful discussions and conversations in the days to come. So with that, I will now hand over to Nat Matthews, CEO of the Global Resilience Partnership, and he'll be delivering his opening remarks on behalf of the 3 managing partners. So once again, thank you and a very good morning.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Nathaniel Matthews, the CEO of the Global Resilience Partnership. GRP is one of the managing partners of the Resilience Hub, along with the Arsh Rockefeller Resilience Center and the Resilience Shift. I'm currently on my way to Glasgow and will be arriving by train this afternoon, but this video gives me a great opportunity to highlight the digital inclusive focus of the Resilience Hub. As David mentioned, the idea for the Resilience Hub was born at COP25 in Madrid. We noticed resilience was everywhere but nowhere. Aspects of resilience were spread over various events and different pavilions, but without having one central place to pull these conversations and synergies together. Since resilience requires a whole systems approach and partnerships to effective actions from across all sectors, we wanted to provide that central location that aims to create a strong community around action on adaptation. I am thrilled to see this idea come to fruition here today at COP26, thanks to the amazing efforts of many. Over the next 2 weeks, the Hub will bring together over 160 events with hundreds of partners convening a diversity of voices under one roof. Here in the Blue Zone, at the Glasgow Caledonian University, and virtually from around the world. We will have contributions and engagements from satellite hubs in the Pacific, Southeast Asia, East Asia, South Asia, Africa, and Latin America and the Caribbean. We have worked hard to ensure that the Hub is as inclusive as possible. Critically, the Hub is about catalyzing and accelerating action. The COP represents our last good chance to address the climate crisis. To achieve the 2030 targets, action must be taken by all actors equally on mitigation and adaptation fronts. And we wanted to make sure that the Hub would provide that neutral space to help convene these diverse actors and ensure the COP prioritizes the need to focus on people, especially those who are vulnerable to climate impacts. We have worked with our partners across the Hub to raise ambition and ensure that we can play a small but important part in this endeavor. I'm excited to kick off the first ever Resilience Hub and look forward to engaging with you all over the next 2 weeks. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Pablo Suarez from Artists for Impact at Lloyd's Register Foundation and Innovation Lead at the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center. Pablo will kick off the Resilience Hub programming with an exciting out-of-the-box session that I know you will all enjoy. Welcome, Pablo, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. This is delightful. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I am Pablo. It is still dark here in Boston. My strange accent comes from Argentina. I am very fortunate to be a member of multiple teams, including the Lloyd's Register Foundation, that has kindly offered me to support them and their work towards a safer world in this position as artist. And I'm also a humanitarian worker working with the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center, a team based in The Hague, but that serves the entire planet, addressing the humanitarian consequences of anything climate, from tomorrow's hurricane to long-term sea level rise. Most of my work has been in Africa. I've been working a lot with Asia. You know what? This is my first COP in 16 years that I joined only virtually. I've been to 16 consecutive COPs face-to-face, and I'm missing the opportunity to hug many of you. But hey, life is throwing us these strange conditions. And I'm glad that the conversations can happen. They need to happen. We need good things to happen. Now is the part where everything can collapse, because I am going to start pushing buttons, and you know how it goes. Technology can play tricks on us. So let's see if this portion works. You should be now seeing the arts, culture, heritage. If you can do so, someone in the live studio, maybe David, can you say, yes, we can see things as we intend? And David and team in the studio and live, I'd appreciate you being my eyes and ears in the world, because it's entirely possible that I speak and no one's listening. I hope that's not the case. I will proceed unless told to do otherwise. Someone says, yes, thank you, we can see it. Perfect. So you must be wondering what's going on. Why is the opening session of this Resilience Hub effort involving arts and culture and heritage? Why do we need to reimagine our climate journey from knowledge to action? Well, things are strange, as depicted by this cartoon. We have a global pandemic. We saw it coming. Our scientists, our public health officials have been warning that it could come, and it came. My grandma's brother died in the pandemic of 1918, and she forced me to wash my hands every day very thoroughly, because she knew that hand washing can help keep creatures that kill you away. It's also, of course, a time of changing climate. More and more, it's now inevitable that the climate will continue to change. How much depends on how successful Glasgow is in its COP26. Conflict up and down, whether it's across national borders with giant weapons or racist police violence in rich cities. And of course, with a changing climate, we expect much more conflict in its multiple varieties. Economies that come and go. And you know what? These forces are creating synergies. They're kind of collaborating with each other better than we are. We need better inspiration to work together, to address all that's going on and all that's coming. Because otherwise, it will feel like screaming all the time. Indeed, many colleagues, whether it's scientists, activists, or humanitarian workers, when looking at what's going on, it may look hot and red, but the shape of what's happening really makes some of us scream. This is a tweet from a meteorologist who saw in the shape of temperature anomalies in that map, a shape that evoked The Scream by Edward Munch. This famous painting paints a lot how many are feeling, including many who are now heading to COP like you. Now, from my very first COP, I encountered this. This is, for those of you in Glasgow, what your 2 weeks ahead look like. I've shown this photo many times. This was actually one of the photos used to promote the UNFCCC COP over a decade ago. Look at that meeting. Look at those faces. How much creativity do you see in that room? how much creativity will you see in the negotiation rooms, in the side rooms, in the events that await? Our designs for sessions seem to be intentionally crafted to suppress creativity and joy. And we need creativity and joy and candor to be able to deal with what's going on. So I'm going to ask you a question. Why do you think the conveners of this event have invited a session on art and heritage and culture for climate and resilience? Why? Why should we explore the role of art and culture? For me, art and culture and heritage in the context of climate and resilience evoke ideas like inspiration, beauty, courage. Friends in the chat, friends who are joining online, would you like to type in the chat what comes to mind when you think of art and heritage and culture in terms of purpose? Those in the room, I see there are obligations to keep a meter distance between your shoulders, but if you want, look at someone near you and say one word or two that comes to mind as to why you think art and culture matter for this. You have 30 seconds, write in the chat or talk to your neighbor. I'll be back very, very soon. Okay. I see some of you talking. There's an interesting effect with time where my voice arrives to you online 15 seconds I spoke. So I don't see yet what you have typed, if anything, but I know that words are coming. Oh, there we go. Imagination, to let loose, community, people. Excellent. And there's more, there's much more that awaits. Now, what we're going to do now is to invite you to think more specifically about what comes to mind when thinking of art and culture. And to do so, we're going to embark on an activity that will invite you to a place that will look like this. By the way, my colleague Mark, if you're in the room, could you make yourself audible and say yes, hello, so that I know that you're ready, because this portion engages you.
Yes, hello, Pablo, I'm ready.
Excellent, thank you, Mark. I don't know if others could hear you, but I could. So we are going to embark in this activity where you're going to be invited over 2 minutes or less to type what exactly comes to mind in terms of items, of icons of culture and heritage and art. You will see a window that looks like that. And you will be invited to type something where it says press enter to submit. Just type something there. And let me show you some examples. Starting from the bottom. You could say literature, or you could say Shakespeare, or you could say Hamlet, or you could say to be or not to be. Please write something as concrete and tangible as possible in that text box when it becomes available to you in a few moments. Maybe you're thinking of painting, or Edvard Munch, or the screen. Maybe in terms of culture, I'm from Argentina. Our culture lives on soccer, football. There's Diego Maradona, there's his hand of God that lives in our memory. Maybe you're from the era of rock and roll and you're thinking of the Clash. Should I stay or should I go? Does that evoke something about climate and risks? Maybe you're thinking Harry Potter and the Sorting Hat. Maybe you're thinking of your own meals. I think of my grandma and her cannelloni for New Year's Eve. That's what I want people who come visit me as a teenager. This is what culture feels like. This is what home feels like. This is what our identity feels like. So, Mark, I'm going to invite you to share in the chat the link for people to view the rant. People should see a blue screen that says why, and it will show art, heritage, and culture. And Mark, when you see that people have received the link, And by the way, for those of you who can only hear me and not see me, let me dictate the link to you. It is bit.ly/cop26rh-art. I hope that Mark has been able to copy paste it in a place that others can see. I am told that is the case. So Mark, when you want, we're ready to roll. 120 seconds, as many items of art and culture as possible. Please go ahead and let it flow. As you see what other people wrote, you're invited to diversify, write stranger things, things that are more evocative, things that are more pertinent, things that are more of your liking, more resonant. And here we go. Keep it coming. Mark, could you confirm that people are inserting text?
They have just started inserting text.
Perfect. Thank you. Keep it coming. What items of art and culture and heritage? Is it architecture? Is it festivals? Is it a song, a movie, a book, something that happens only in your town? And keep it coming, please. Yes, look at that. Be as specific as possible. So someone said architecture. Can you say more? Are you talking about your cathedral? Are you talking the tallest building? Are you talking a square? Are you talking a specific kind of hat? Dance, what dance? Are you talking hip hop dance or are you talking ballet? Make it as specific as possible. What trends? Fashion, what fashion? Is it the Shakespearean weird neck? Or is it the Lady Gaga steak clothes? You have about 20 seconds left in this one. Yes, keep it flowing. Keep it flowing. My mom's cooking. Diwali, said someone. Religion, of course. Sport events. Can you be more specific? How about cricket or ping pong? Or keep it coming. Give it shape. Stonehenge. Oh my goodness, that's so good. Obelisco from Buenos Aires. I see some compatriot probably speaking. And time is almost up. Well, I don't know about you, but in these moments, one can feel one's own body engage. The heartbeat goes up. When you're asked to take action, something happens, and we want action to happen. So, coming back to the Zoom, coming back to my slides, we will revisit your contributions, don't worry. Those will become ingredients for our creative endeavors. We're going to create communication approaches for what I call addressing our crisis of imagination. I have to be very clear. I'm concerned. There needs to be much more happening than what is happening, and we keep honking and honking again with the same messages, and not enough changes. We need more. We need juices to expand horizons. You can see in the PowerPoint 3 logos. On the right, my humanitarian hat. In my 16 previous COPs, I've mostly been with the Red Cross, Red Crescent Climate Center. The left logo, Lloyd's Register Foundation, has very kindly provided support for my time and for the many collaborating artists that you will meet later who are joining this session, some live and some later, because out of this collaboration between all of us, there shall be new works of art and culture emerging with their help. In the center, you see the DNC logo, Development and Climate Days. Our team has inherited this from Salim Hook. We're working with many others. And it's a space for what's needed at the COP. Check it out, Development and Climate Days at COP26. So moving on, you will very soon see a video that has a lot of strange things. The reason for you to watch this video is to prime your pump, because we are going to be asking you to come up with ideas, with strange ideas that communicate what do we need to do in this journey from knowledge to action about climate. In the video, we will start with what you see at the center of this slide, the usual people talking in a panel. This is from just before the pandemic, when the Global Resilience Partnership held a very important meeting in New York. Here you see on the right is a Madam President of the General Assembly of the UN. In the center, former chair of the least developed countries. On the left, moderator, my colleague Karina. And there was the former president of Costa Rica. There was someone from India talking about how we engage the poor. There was a lot of very important talking. And in that session, thank you for those who supported that, I had the fortune of working with people who do something that at the time I hated, hip hop. Look at the top left. That happened on the same stage as Madam President of the General Assembly was talking. You'll see that in the video. You'll also see fashion with technology about early warnings, as you see in the top center. In the top right, you see batiks, artists from Indonesia and Singapore that create textile art. They are present today, part of this session, and they will create batiks to be shared at the Resilience Hub in a week. In the center left, you see an animation with the character from the screen, the Munch, confronting our choices, what happens with our temperature. You see a crossword puzzle that I created for an event, global event by GFDRR. On the bottom right, you see a Shakespearean performance. Bottom left, you see crafts from Vanuatu. We have 4 artists joining from a small Pacific island today, and you will see why. Bottom center, it's the strangest. It has to do with blindfolded cricket, another sport I really cannot make sense of, but a lot of people love it. So what I want you to see when you watch this video coming soon, you'll notice that for each of these ones that I worked with collaborators, you'll notice the same basic approach. First, we found something that people are familiar with that already resonates with the culture of people of that tribe, of that place, of that time. And then we create some kind of collision that creates strangeness, that creates confusion, that makes people say, huh, what's going on there? Can we tweak, modify, intervene, subvert what people are used to add something that combines culture with climate and resilience? Dear friends from the IT team at the Resilience Hub, you're welcome to start playing the video. Over to you, in your hands.
So the world needs to really think out of the box.
I'm really looking forward to see what happens after we speak.
Why is it that we talk and people don't start the movement that we need? We need to figure out how to amplify our message. Research shows that showing research doesn't work. We all have access to the microphone.
Easy voice.
We need to move away from business as usual.
Gandhi's most amazing thing was to make everything that people do every day into making them believe that they were in a movement.
So we are hip-hop improv comedians. I'm sure you're very familiar with that term. The ocean! It's the ocean!
That ocean is in dire need of a movement to restore its health.
Who am I? I'm resilient!
Ask people in the street, what is resilience? And people would look at you and say, what?
We all have access to a mic, so use it, use it, use it, use it. This earth, please don't abuse it.
Our movement believes that doing and showing what can be done is what inspires people to do the right thing.
Art and culture are the best ways to create additional resonance.
Greenhouse gases are heating our planet off course. If we don't quit fossil fuels, the road ahead looks scary hot. Each degree warmer risks off-the-chart horror. Consequences matter for those we love and care about. The human family already suffers as our Earth's fever spikes. Distress is growing, as are extreme events, and those in deepest need are harmed the most. How to address cause and consequence? No geoengineering governance in place. Some call it a veil to protect and care, a planet remade, drowning delayed. Others talk of playing God, geopiracy, a climate hack, one worldwide ring to rule them all. Will we construct this global thermostat? Will dimming the sun make our future bright? Or will it just change the shade of dark? What if choosing silence is choosing collapse? In our lifetime, you and I, all of us, will likely confront this exceptional situation. To geoengineer or not to geoengineer? That will be our shared question.
To geoengineer or not to geoengineer? That is our question. Whether 'tis better to suffer the slings and arrows of an outrageously changing climate, or to take arms against a rising sea of troubles, and by opposing, alleviate them. For now, in these weird winters and summers of our global discontent, when those of both hemispheres scream in harsh lament, the world needs someone to care and dare to prepare to act. There are millions of lives at stake.
Today we're going to deal with a really tough issue, but hopefully do it in a fun way.
The beauty of playing a game is that we can represent the planet in a room and 4 decades in an hour. 10 seconds, make your decisions. Shout hero. Oh no! And you all sit down. Holy! Oh, exactly! Well, if you deploy geoengineering, you could reduce the risk of that 6 happening by changing the shape of the global climate. But there may be a system where some of us get stuck with too much rain or too little rain. This is exactly what the Carnegie Council C2G is trying to do, to get people to talk to each other. here at the Institute for the Public Understanding of Risk, inhabiting this batik data sculpture. We're referring to this installation as Risk Talk. What we have is a depiction made of batik of the data that has been analyzed. Each stripe represents 1 decade, depicting something we have been talking about when talking about risk. Hello and welcome to Vanuatu. This is a data sculpture. It combines art and science. It is a way to give material life to data. What we have in this object is 25 years of data from the present 2018 all the way back to 25 years ago in 1993 when we started having good satellite records. We have volcanic eruptions, we have earthquakes, we have tsunamis, we have cyclones category 3 and higher. What we depict in addition to nature, in addition to extreme events, is also the impacts of these extreme events. We represent economic losses with coconuts representing $10 million, $100 million. We represent people affected with the color of the event that had an impact of them, blue for cyclone, red for volcanoes, and so on. And we also represent people killed by extreme events, represented in black. Finally, we also represented disaster financing, money that was brought from outside the region to the Pacific to help countries cope with the consequences of extreme event. What this data sculpture tells us is that we are getting better at financing the aftermath of disasters, but at the same time, risks are changing. We need better systems to move money fast and smart in times of need.
We are here to enjoy the T10 game of understanding risk management and all about hurricanes and the awareness as well in the region.
Hopefully, out of this game, it will just open more eyes and get more people better prepared for what we hope won't be, but just might be a full hurricane season.
This game, all part of the conference, the Caribbean Conference of Understanding Risk, held here in Barbados this week. Another delivery outside the lake.
At some point during today's game, we're going to actually blindfold a couple of cricketers so that at a personal level they can appreciate the difference between having all their facilities and being acutely aware of what is happening around and being prepared versus when you're almost in the dark really and totally unprepared for what is coming.
But he's blindfolded, the batsman is blindfolded, so they have to depend on song and probably some prompting from the players around. Let's see how it's gonna go. But as you know, in disaster risk reduction and management, we have to consider those persons. Ball them! We have to consider those persons who are visually impaired. And Philo Wallace, he is now celebrating because he has bowled Joseph. He has to remember he has 5 more deliveries. Philo, you have 5 more deliveries. He's running around the field, excited, but it was a good delivery here when Philo tossed it up and bowled Joseph.
Zoral Barkley, it looks like.
So while the video keeps playing, immense gratitude to all that helped make these things possible. No chance to name them all, but each of those videos is available online. And I have to say, my friends, I enjoy playing sports. I'm very incompetent with my body when it comes to the precision of throwing balls and so on. The players who are playing cricket, both normal and blindfolded, they are the all-stars of West Indies cricket. It's like having Maradona and Messi in Argentina playing soccer blindfolded. Did you see the amount of happiness that that fellow had when representing the hurricane? He threw the ball and successfully knocked down some stick. He started dancing. Now, on the other side was a person who was blindfolded, meaning without a good early warning system, and his valuable possession was knocked down. In the context of the creative narrative of that game, we had people rethinking hurricane preparedness. And that game was done on the first day of hurricane season in the Caribbean in the context of a Caribbean conference about understanding risk, GFDRR, World Bank, and partners. So there's so much that wasn't communicated there. For example, this is the richest I've ever been. I'm holding $100 million from Vanuatu, representing this golden coconut. Here is one of the small clouds for rain. I don't know if you can hear, but it makes a little bit of sound of rain. But the big ones with natural seeds, they were designed to really recreate the sound, the texture of intense rainfall. Now let me go back to share screen here. And let's hope this works as it has worked recently. I assume you can see again what you saw before. You know, each of these things, as mentioned, is designed to create a collision between what's familiar and what's strange. And that's what we're going to be asking you, dear participants, both online and in the COP26 venue in Glasgow, to create. We're going to invite you to come up with ideas that fuse what you reported as art and culture and heritage that resonates with you with ideas about climate and resilience. When you do so, when you combine the familiar with the strange, modifying, tweaking, hacking what is known, those ideas that you provide will be made available to our partners that are contributing co-creators. Look at this map. These are people who have said yes to engaging in this session by the Resilience Hub. We have a lot of colleagues in the UK. You see in the top center, Thermochromic. That's the Thermo Interactive Collection, I'll tell you more soon. We have a space artist, Nahum, from Mexico, based in Berlin. We have a filmmaker from Spain. We have a Togolese songwriter, as well as NASA scientist. We have a jewelry maker joining from Kenya. Her work is fantastic. We have my dear game designer fellow Bettina in South Africa. We have a cartoonist joining from India. We have batik artists, the same that you saw before, from Indonesia and Singapore. On the left in the Americas, here in Boston, we have Reggie, who you saw delivering a Hamletian modification. He's going to play with spoken word and literary performance. We have cartoonists published in the New Yorker magazine. We have artificial intelligence crafters. You'll hear more about that. We have game designers who are very well known. You may have heard of the game Pandemic. We happen to be collaborating with Matt Leacock and Mateo Menapace on a climate game. We have cartoonists from Mexico. We have puppet theater artists. We have satellite artists. And very importantly, on the far east, in the Pacific, you see outdoor installation. That's our dear colleagues from Vanuatu, who, if technology allowed, are joining today. This is where they will set up an outdoor installation with materials like the ones I showed, with bark, with seeds, in that location, in the very same venue where we co-created that sculpture. Look at that coastline, look at that beauty. That's what's at stake, my friend. Entire cultures, entire natural heritage that we can amplify. Thank you so much, Busi and colleagues from the Suzanne Bastien Foundation in Vanuatu. I'm so, so grateful and honored to be working with you. Now, let me catch some breath, because this is I'm very excited about the prospects of so many of you. Let me go back to that map. These are the creative collaborators that will turn your ideas, or attempt to turn some of your ideas, the most resonant ones, into tangible works. Now, before we move on to giving you, members in the audience, online and face-to-face, the task, let me share with you a little detour that will give you a taste of where we're coming from and where we're heading. In addition to being a humanitarian worker and an artist, I am predominantly a researcher. I'm a math geek. And 2 decades ago, I was doing my doctoral research, first mathematical modeling of impacts of climate change in the transportation infrastructure of Boston, then in Southern Africa, Chimanimani, Matabeleland, communicating El Nino. And then as a Red Cross worker, I had the fortune of embarking in what can be offered now by smart machines, computers. We developed for Togo in West Africa a flood forecasting model that used very little data, but used a self-learning algorithm, which we tailor created, not for big data, but for small data. I'm affiliated to the Human Computation Institute, which endeavors to combine the human creative powers with the power of machines that turn on and off and amplify our capability. And lately I've been in conversation with a colleague who is affiliated with the Allen Institute for AI, and he has access to the best, phenomenally competent machine that creates text intelligently, my friends. It's so scary. For those of you familiar with the Turing test, we're there. I have to say, when I talk to the computer via text and the computer responds, it's like it knows. Jack, thank you very much. He has worked with me as a geek trying to get the computer, the artificial intelligence, it's a version of GPT for those of you who know, to look at Harry Potter and create modifications of Harry Potter that have something to do with climate. 2 geeks asking artificial intelligence to create Harry Potter hack. Now, I and Jack don't know much about Harry Potter, but we know a lot of people who do, including Beth from the Lloyd's Register Foundation. And we asked this GPT entity, how would you take Harry Potter and modify it to say something about the climate? And he told us things about Dumbledore, about the Triziar tournament, about the mentors. The one I can make sense of is the sorting hat, which apparently was a hat put on the heads of kids to sort which place they go to. And it proposed to use the sorting hat to identify the different kinds of climate denial people, because they need different treatments. Imagine if we had that sorting hat for finding who gets the funding from the Clean Climate Fund. So if an artificial intelligence could come up with modifications of Harry Potter to talk about climate, I predict that you, my friends, can come up with even better, more creative, more culturally resonant modifications. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to invite you to revisit those ideas that you shared via entering in the chat before. And we're going to ask you, how could those ideas be modified? How can you hack the art, heritage, culture, tweak it to make it more resonant? What you write, what you create and offer will be bestowed as a gift to humanity and to the artists that make something. Please don't claim later intellectual property rights, because we are hereby establishing that your creativity becomes the ownership of humanity. If it's good, it's going to change the world for good. Your offer will become a sieve to invited artists so that they can seek inspiration, take and transform your idea, make it their own, and create tangible new works of art, whether it's paintings or music or puppet show or cartoons or art installations on a beach in Vanuatu or a digital video game. So very soon, you will go back to that website that you saw. It will look like this. You will see the different items that were sent by you or by others, most likely by others, because there's many more of those entrants. You will receive a randomly chosen set. So you could choose Harry Potter sorting hat. If you like Harry Potter, I don't know much about it, but if you click on that, the text will come available in the top, and you're invited to tweak that text to make it something relevant to climate, especially to the consequences of climate. Don't talk about changing light bulbs and electric cars. Please focus on dealing with shocks, dealing with trends, dealing with sea level rise, creating resilience, taking action based on warnings from science. This is what it will look like. If you click on one, let's say you click on should I stay or should I go, it becomes available in the top, and then you type a modification that becomes the idea for others. How can we infuse something strange into that so that it becomes a potential work of art? It could be the song, should I stay or should I go? But instead of being a teenager in love and not knowing if the girl is there, it could be about a climate affected person from an island who needs to decide whether to migrate or not. You could do something about the scream and portray people in the background doing something like building a shelter or protesting, demanding the government support the elder community, people who are going to suffer, and providing better care in case of heat waves. Whew. So, Mark and team, if you can, please write again in the chat the link for those who may have arrived late. Otherwise, I see that some colleagues are already going there. Remember, you select by clicking the one that resonates. It becomes available in the top, and then do something about it. Propose a way of embracing that and transforming it into an invitation to think of climate and resilience. We're going to give you about 5 minutes until 15 minutes past the hour or so. All right, I see that the entrances are coming. Try to make your offer as specific as possible. Imagine it painted. Imagine it performed as poetry. Give the seed of a dance choreography, of a game. Mark, can you confirm if you see that people are engaged in the digital platform?
People are writing in. That's really great too.
Perfect. So remember, you can scroll down until you see show me more, please. In case what you see is not too interesting. I see next to me someone wrote the Trevi, the Fontana di Trevi in Rome, where you may remember there were some people recently. Maybe you can change it so it becomes something different. Okay, I'm going to shut up and invite music to play or silence to play. You have 4 minutes or so. Remember, make it not an idea, but a concrete depiction of an artwork that is modified by you. Don't say art is good. Say Mona Lisa, but instead of smiling, she has a face mask because there was an industrial accident because of a heat wave. Thank you, friends. And remember, you can push more, please, in the bottom and see others if you want to change and see what others wrote. And we see that the ideas keep flowing. Thank you. Keep it coming. How can you change what's out there so it speaks about climate climate change, the need to turn knowledge into action, and resilience. We are about halfway through this session. Let's give you 2 more minutes. Create ideas, write things that can be turned into art and culture and tangible objects or sound or video files by our artists from around the world. Create new art. You have just become an artist, a co-creator. If someone wrote sports events, can you think of a non-cricket way of changing a sport so that it becomes climate relevant? So it teaches a lesson about hurricane preparedness, about drought, about water access, about health protection. Some of those ideas are really awesome. Let's give you 1 minute. I am seeing some of the submissions and they make me smile and they make me want to see it in existence. 30 seconds, please. And Mark, by the way, there's a little bit of a delay in when I speak versus when people online hear. So when I say, let's start wrapping it up, give it 15 seconds before you close the submissions, please.
Thank you.
Let's give you about 10 seconds for those in the room to start wrapping it up. Those online, please click submit with your last one because your time is almost up. Mark, in 10 seconds, you can close. It's amazing. It's like living in a time machine. I have to think of 2 time zones separated 15 seconds. And time is up for those online. And very soon, it will be up for everyone. So Mark, I suggest we move on to the part where people get to see what others have written. You will get a randomly chosen original text about art or culture or heritage, and further down a proposed modification. For example, Olympic Games where one team represents those losing their homes. And then you say, I think this is a good idea. I want the artist to see this, in which case you vote it up. If the idea is not too resonant, then you don't vote it up. Please don't vote up everything because we need to bubble up the ideas that you collectively, both at the COP venue and online, find most resonant. If you like everything, you can, but please try to be discerning so that we can create a sense of priority. Let's give you about 3 minutes. Now, it's not only a job. Don't just go ahead and click up and down. Also, think about it. Look at it, enjoy it, savor the idea. Savor, experience, imagine it becoming a reality. Keep it coming, please. Mark, can you tell if there are patterns emerging?
Yes, everyone has really creative ideas about some of the most iconic places on our globe. So
nice. Very nice. Let's give you about 2 more minutes. You have been prolific. I see the obelisco from Buenos Aires becoming a giant thermometer. Thank you for whoever wrote that. Okay, let's begin to wrap it up. And Mark, in a few moments, I'm going to invite you to advance, fast forward all the way to the final report so people can see everything that was submitted, but in a ranked order. Very interesting. Okay, Mark, let's start wrapping it up. And thank you all for your patience as you see some blue screens emerging. And very soon you'll get taste of everything. You'll be able to scroll up and down. And that is what will remain in the hands of all artists to seek inspiration. And over the coming week, before the 8th, they will be able to take those ideas and turn them into inspiration for a new creation. At the top, Arc de Triomphe, visual projections on the structure, sea level rise, temporary shelter. The history of fashion, from fully dressed to naked because of heat waves. The obelisco becoming a thermometer. Lion King, Olympic Games. I'll let you go at your own pace. Let's give you about a minute. And some of the artists who are present here in person, in real time, are working madly to create stuff that maybe you can enjoy at the Resilience Hub. Thank you, AJ, for your message. I love what's bubbling up. Food. Architecture. So many things. Okay, my friends, let's begin to wrap it up and come back to the Zoom. I am going to invite you, if you can, to stop scrolling. I know there's an infinite supply of good ideas there. You'll see that. You'll hopefully some of this invited you to become a creator yourself. I know there is in the audience a person from the World Bank who also happens to do jewelry at home. Maybe she will come up with an idea for a necklace that talks about global warming or sea level rise or changing storms or droughts. Each of you is an artist. Each of us is a creator. It's just that the systems that design sessions at the COP suppress that. Can we enhance the creative powers in you and in others? This session is designed to invite you to adapt, replicate these ideas, run with it, make it in your own event. Invite your local artist, invite your online friends. I would be delighted to help you in making that happen if you want. But hey, let's move on. Let's now do the following. I'm going to share with you one stunning surprising example, in my opinion, of how art and culture plays a role in who cares about climate change in different places. So I'm going to go back to share screen. Let's see if this works. Yes. So I am, as mentioned, affiliated to the Lloyd's Register Foundation. It's a foundation that cares about a safer world. And they have recently partnered with Gallup, a very well-known surveying entity that asks questions tailored. You can help design the word risk poll. If you join the session on November 8th that I will be facilitating, we'll be joined by my colleague Sarah, who will invite you to ask questions about climate change globally in the next word risk poll. Now, this word risk poll had questions about climate, and it found that the majority of people around the world are concerned about climate change. And I thought, okay, the majority of people are concerned, and still we're not doing enough. There must be something about those who are not concerned. What can we learn about them? So I'm going to ask you a question. Think of people in your country. I'm from Argentina. You may be from Bangladesh, from Sweden, from Malaysia. Now picture in your mind someone you know who is an older male. By older, I mean older than 40. Could be 85 or could be 51. Think of what do they think about art and culture? And how is it different from younger females, say age 35 or less? What do they think? Can you picture that? Art, culture, heritage, what's in their mind? Is there something that is distinct? So for example, for me from Argentina, older males from my generation, soccer, Maradona, hand of God, manly thing. When I was a child, I was given a soccer ball. Girls were given dolls. There's violence, there's intentional cheating. Those of you who watch soccer, football today, you know how these theatrics of, oh, I've been injured, referee, please give a red card. It's about all sorts of things that are potentially questionable, but very entertaining. Or tango. In tango, the man dominates and sets the stage for the woman to obediently move about and spread the legs and show sexy behavior because the man asks for it. Not surprisingly, younger females don't care about soccer or tango. And right now, at least according to my nieces, there's a huge surge in a wave of vegetarian cuisine among younger females in Argentina, the freaking carnivore capital of the cosmos. There's more Harry Potter than tango. Think in your country. What will be these iconic things that adult older men like? Think of it in your head. Picture that. And now ask yourself the question. In your country, who is more likely to say that climate change is not a problem at all? If you counted what percent of older male, what percent of younger female think that climate change not a problem at all? I'll give you a hint. Globally, the average is 13%. Who answered the Gallup survey, not a problem at all. But guess what? Different countries have different differences between older male and younger female. Can you guess? In your country, feel free to write in the chat. Your country, more likely older male or more likely younger female. You don't have to. And friends from IT, you're welcome to start sharing the 2-minute video that we made specifically for this event with the help of Daniel and the Good Focus team. Feel free to start playing the animation.
What do we know about risk in our world? The Lloyd's Register Foundation World Risk Poll is the first global study of worry and risk across the world on subjects such as mental health, cybersecurity, and workplace safety. Now, let's animate some data on a key issue, perceptions of climate change. Globally, the World Risk Poll finds that nearly 1 in 8 people say climate change is not a threat at all in their country in the next 20 years. Let's explore how patterns emerge in different countries. From now on, each pebble will depict one person who answered the question. The poll finds that gender and age make a big difference in some countries. In Singapore, older males are 10 times more likely than younger females to think climate, not a problem. In Rwanda, older males are 7 times less likely than younger females to think not a problem at all. Different risk perceptions shape how we understand and address climate risks. Learn more at wrp.lrfoundation.org.uk.
So, can you tell the challenge we confront? Someone who became successful in politics said that politics is downstream of culture. Now, I happen to have my preferences on politics, and we don't need to enter in that territory, but what I know is that in our community of climate resilience, COP, humanitarian development people, there's a lot of talk about science and policy and programming. All that is very good. But if we don't explore the role of culture and how culture and art and heritage can make emotional dimensions of our work more present, more intentional, more able to make the shift happen. Think of the big ideas and the big decisions in your life. How often did you base it on a cost-benefit analysis as opposed to something coming from your heart or from your gut? We can, and in my opinion, must harness the power of art and culture to figure out what is it about those older men in the UK or younger women in Rwanda that makes them say, you know what, climate not a problem. I'm sure they have other problems, but climate is a problem for everyone in this world. So now I'm going to take you to another territory that you may find a little bit bizarre. That's part of the point of today. I was asked to make an out-of-the-box session, and I hope you're finding this session somewhat unconventional. Reimagining our climate journey. Let me take you through an unconventional journey. This, my friends, what do you think it is? This image. It turns out it is a work of art by my new dear collaborator, Santiago Espeche, who took a satellite image of the Sahara, where the predominant colors are yellow and brown, and digitally played with the color palette, turning it into shades of blue. And it looks like underwater photography, which to me is amazing because the entire planet was underwater millions of years ago. And a lot of sand is going underwater now, especially in small islands that at the COP have a lot to say. This work of art, made of satellite images by Santiago from Argentina, I find very powerful about how things have changed and how things are changing. I'm thinking of things that change and things that live long. Let me introduce you to one person who really shaped my thinking about risks. Maria Cesarina Ottavina Becchini di Bertoncini, also known as La Nonna, my grandma. Here she's featured, a photo taken by Giano, on her 100th birthday. She, born in Italy, 1910, she happened to love Mexican music, so she wanted mariachis in Argentina for her 100th birthday. The mariachis did not know how to sing Italian, but she had a blast. You can see her here flirting with the head mariachi, shamelessly. He was gracious, he had a blast as well, and all of us grandchildren sang, Yo, Mexico lindo y querido. Now, 100 years of Nona. Imagine 1910. Imagine her brother dying because of the 1918 pandemic. She had seen a lot of change. I grew up in her home. Whenever I had crazy ideas, she would tell me, "Ma Pablo, quello è difficile come pestar la luna." Pablo, that's as hard as stepping on the moon, which she meant impossible. Of course, humans had stepped on the moon before I was born. And humans are going to the moon again. It's now like within a decade, there will be a rocket going to the moon and back with a human. There will be new footsteps on that surface. In about a decade or less, 2030, some people that I know are planning the first time that rocket goes to the moon with human and then rocket comes back. And human stays. Extended presence. What should that be? Some people want a military base. Some people want a mining operation. Some people are even thinking of prisons to send unwanted humans over there. I'm sure you have ideas. But my friends are setting up the foundations, the institutional conceptual foundations for the Lunar University. It's an entity that phase 2 starts in 2030 or so when there's extended human presence on the moon. Phase 1 starts now, 2022, to set what is needed to make that happen. Lunar University will aim to inspire and educate a next generation that is alive now. Many may be watching this, many are protesting in Glasgow. And it's not just for sustainable relationship to space, but it's also for benefit to Earth. Now, I'm incredibly happy to report that I've been invited by this team to become part of what is being called Off-World Humanities. I will try to bring art and culture to the Lunar University to talk and reflect about what can we do with or for the moon, but for the benefit of humanity. And there's so much art that has happened. Someone has sent the Moonlight Sonata via a actual radio-like signal to the moon, and that signal bounced back, a little bit distorted, and that was captured and played. And when you hear it, you hear the Moonlight Sonata as played by the moon. That's brilliant. Nahum Romero, who is present here, he has his work of art involving outer space. It is happening in the International Space Station. You know, he has put, it's a very simple concept, a gigantic light bulb. Not gigantic, a very powerful light bulb. In theory, people from alien civilizations could watch in the vicinity of our corner of the cosmos and see this light turning on and off. And if they had a powerful enough telescope, they could see it. Now, when does it turn on and off? Nahum designed it so that it can be connected to Earth, and your own heartbeat could be read on Earth, the signal of its timing sent to the moon, to the ISS, and the light goes on and off, and an alien civilization could know about your heartbeat. They could have noticed that you were typing, you were all excited. If you're mellow, it'll be slower. The cosmos can listen. How can we do these things? Here is the first work of art that I invited Santiago to create. This is an actual photo of the moon, but Santiago played with it, rotated, changed the colors. So instead of a crater with a cone of shade because of topography on the moon, it became, in his imagination, a guardian angel. Whew. Now, I was raised in a culture where guardian angels were very present. I have a different relationship to fictional creatures now. But I know that as we think of a changing climate, we need to think, where is our inspiration? Where's our protection going to come from? What we're going to do now, very briefly, is to invite you to go into the link that you saw before and check out the gallery. In that gallery, you will see some of the images you saw before. For example, here it's the IPCC graph, but with Munch, the screen. And you can leave a comment there. What do you like about it? What will you do as a result of viewing it? Do you wish something? Do you wonder something? Let's give you a couple minutes. And for those of you who are present face-to-face in Glasgow, you're welcome to go into the website, or you can stand up, walk to a neighbor, and have a conversation. What have you experienced so far? What can you think of art and culture? Let's give you no more than 3 minutes. And Mark, if you want, share the link again for those who may have arrived late. I am seeing some of the comments going into the annotation of the gallery. Very, very interesting. You have the arrows to go back and forth, right and left. And after you type your comment, scroll down if needed until you see the yellow button that says submit. Oh, interesting. Thank you, Leah. Let's give you less than a minute. Okay. And dear friends, we're going to invite you to wrap it up and come back to the Zoom, where I want to share with you a few remaining things very quickly. First, you see here a photo of the cartoon wall that is available right now at the COP. Right now. It's in the blue zone where diplomats walk by, and the cartoon wall has plenty of things, including some of the cartoons you saw in the gallery. Feel free to go check it out. Some of those cartoons emerged from a session that happened on October 11th with delegates from 20 countries, Sweden, Kuwait, Trinidad and Tobago, and they were talking about adaptation, and cartoon artists made cartoons in real life. So right now, I'm going to invite the IT team of this event to start playing the video. It's about 4 minutes, but we'll cut it a bit short. So start it along, and when you hear me ask for stopping it, we stop it. Onwards.
Go to sleep. 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 Now, engage. It's time for action. Now.
Hello, dear negotiators. I'm Pablo. Thanks for joining this unconventional meeting. Typical events often call for action, but they are inducing people to sleep. They're annoying. They're infuriating. Let's share what's wrong with our usual meetings. Professional cartoonists today are with us, drawing live to help harness your creativity and your candor. Let's play a game. All caps rant.
And our capacity to advance the agreed mechanism and level of commitment to resilience and our capacity to advance the agreed mechanism and develop.
Well, today I guess we just came up with a roadmap. 2 more meetings.
Great! Your ranting accelerated your heartbeat, right? Feeling alive. Now we move on to the next task. Headlines. You're negotiators, you're no longer who you think you are. You're a journalist with a time machine. You can go to tomorrow, next year, next century. What do you see that's newsworthy? Please go to our headlines game and create good news and bad news headlines. So, you have ranted about meetings, you've created headlines about the future, and you've had conversations about what are we going to do to adapt to a changing climate. Here are some cartoons created by our artists based on what you said.
This is great! Now we know what to expect.
Cartoons were a timely adaptation. Timely adaptation. Timely adaptation. Timely adaptation. Timely adaptation.
I will
Timely
talk over the
adaptation.
video and say that many of these artists who contributed to that video that you just watched are present here. And I am told that they have created a few cartoons in real time based on what you said. So Samantha, if you can, I'm going to stop sharing and maybe you can start sharing screen. I don't know what's coming, my friends. I am told that some works of art created based on what you said are coming, and I was told there's some theme that emerged from El Quijote. So let me put my glasses on. All right, from Pat Burns, you're just seeing this now? Look at that. Oof. Thank you, Pat. Moving on. My new riddle. What would it take for you to understand you only have little time to act before we all become grains of sand? This is Fego's. Thank you, Fego, from Mexico in New York. Also, like Pat, published in the New Yorker magazine. This is heritage, huh? Moving on to the next one. We have an agreement. Now we must start from scratch and negotiate implementation. Friends at COP26, we wish you success. Thank you, Paul, Vizca, Max B, for this contribution. Next one. I recognize the style of Kendra Allenby. Don Quixote telling Sancho, work to be done, time for impossible dreams. Brilliant. Let's go for one last one. And this is from Ham. They're not so bad. I have to say, Ham perfectly incarnates what I like about this event and this session. Hamid Khan, is of Pakistani descent via father and of Scottish descent via mother. Guess what? The COP is happening in Scotland. And he's based in Argentina, where in addition to being a cartoonist for the New Yorker and beyond, he also makes street puppet with recycled cardboard and makes theatric performances of that. Ham, Kendra, Fego, Paul, Pat, thank you so much for your talent. Thank you, Samantha, and many others behind the scenes for making things work. And let me share with you, in the very few minutes we have left, one other thing involving cartoons and the COP. If you can see my screen, this happened at the Tate Museum in London, 2 days ago on Saturday. My dear colleague Leah Lovett, she and I are co-principal investigators. She's with University College London, and we're working with the British Red Cross, and British academies gave the funding. And we have been tasked with working on urban heat waves and early warning systems in urban settings. Now, Leah is not only a scholar at University College London, she's also an artist, and she brought to my attention this fact of thermochromic pigment, paint that changes color or disappears when exposed to heat. So we had some ideas on how to put, like what you see on that photo is the hand of Leah's child covering a cartoon, including some from the wall. But if you put your hand on it, the temperature of your hand reveals what's underneath. And you see a cartoon about heat waves, or about climate change, or about resilience. On the right, our dear collaborator, AJ O'Neill, wearing one of the masks that has been covered with thermochromic pigment. Now, when you exhale with particular force, the heat that comes out of you, full of CO2, undoes the pigmentation and reveals what's there. And one of the phrases that emerges, inspire or expire. So, feedback. We have less than a minute left. Mark, please activate the portion of this where people are invited to say, how was this session different from your typical event? We're going to give you very short time, write a few words, activate your sharing feedback on how this session was different from your usual. Type something, press enter. You have 30 seconds or less. While you do so, while you share your feedback, we have 90 minutes have elapsed since I said hello. It's now time to say goodbye. Enormous gratitude to the Lloyd's Register Foundation for supporting all of this, to the Global Resilience Partnership for making the space and helping bring my time in, the Red Cross and Climate Center, so awesome to enable innovation, and so many other partners, especially the artists who are present today. You will see their work if you show up at the November 8th session and here at the Resilience Hub. Look for the one on experiencing the complexity of future risk. We're going to play games and share some of the results. They will also be made available on screen and so on. 91 minutes to go, my time to say goodbye. Thank you, friends from the Resilience Hub. Onwards to you. Goodbye.